basically. So simple is when you take something and you simplify it so that you don't lose signal. You don't add noise to the signal.
Okay.
And simplistic is you oversimplify basically to the extent, whoa.
Well, we got a little buddy here. It's like what is that thing?
How do you call him? Let's call him a dragon.
We have a dragon. We have a dragon in Malaysia. Okay, so simple is direct, no noise,
Exactly.
just signal.
Exactly. So you take something, you make it simple. So what you took doesn't change really. Like you barely lose any of its essence, barely. And basically, the better you're at simplifying, the less essence you lose, as opposed to simplistic, which by definition is oversimplifying, which by definition is like kind of like cutting off the essence of the thing. So you're like losing signal. You're basically, you don't have the same thing. You're oversimplified it. So it's not the thing anymore. It's simplistic.
Yeah, interesting.
And so the art of simplicity, which is really the main gift and medicine, as they say in medicine circles, plant medicine circles, of Steve Jobs, is simplicity. That's his medicine. Yeah. That's his gift. And he was a badass at that, right?
I want to record me slacklining within this little thing. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, so while we're doing this, let's do you want to introduce yourself? Like, who are you? What you like? What your favorite food is? And I don't know. Yeah.
Honestly, not really.
You don't want to? Okay.
I mean, I could if you give me like a prompt.
Okay, I'll prompt you. So your name's Aleksandr, yeah?
Yep.
Aleksandr, where were you born?
Russia, St. Petersburg, Russia.
St. Petersburg, Russia. That's the one that was Leningrad, and then they named it back, right?
Yep. I mean, it went through different name changes. Yeah. What's interesting about St. Petersburg is that it's a 300-old city. So you would think that it's new. It was built from scratch. By the way, speaking about cities of the future, they positioned this place where we're at as city of the future, right? And we are at a community of the future in the city of the future. And so
here right now?
Yeah. Network school at Forest City. And so St. Petersburg was built as a city from scratch, like an experiment by this great visionary, Peter the Great, right?
Yeah, so let's give a moment of a little salute to Peter the Great. He would go like work like kind of like undercover to like understand his people and stuff, right?
That's a cool story. It's a cool story.
What's that? Do you know that story?
A little bit, yeah. So, I mean, we're following tangents here, so I guess we'll just play with that. So he went incognito to Amsterdam and London as well.
Yep.
Amsterdam most of the time. And so his idea was to learn from the best in the world, which at the time were the Dutch, actually. They, in the end of 17th century, beginning of the 18th century. So he goes, no one knows that he's actually a royalty, and not just any royalty, he's the actual,
the royalty.
Yeah. So he goes and no one knows, and he just works and learns from people that produce ships. He was mostly interested in creating Russian, how do you call it? A fleet or something?
Navy,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. He was interested in creating Russian Navy. And so he goes there and he spent 3 years there. And in the beginning of the 1700s, the Netherlands Holland was like leading the world across many, many parameters. Like they had their first stock exchange in the world. They invented it. They were great shipbuilders. I spent a year or so living in Amsterdam.
Really?
So I was also pretty much learning from them, because the Dutch are amazing. Yeah, I love them.
What were you learning
there? Engineers. I don't know, just how they, how I learned from any other culture.
Yeah.
Their strategies, civilizational codes. That's a cool topic, civilizational
codes.
Do you,
when you go to a different place, because I think that's so fascinating, like I think so much of what we call like learning is done like abstractly through like books, or like what I call like almost like principles first learning, where it's like this abstract, like you learn something and then you apply it. But I think what's so cool about the learning you're talking about, which is like you're immersed, is just like it's learning by this mimesis, Like
Yep.
you receive the code just like straight in your bloodstream.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I like the word osmosis for that.
Osmosis.
Yeah.
Do you know what the difference is between osmosis and mimesis?
Well, mimesis probably comes from the memes, as in cultural memes, right? As in the units of culture, as in.
Okay.
And I think that's defined as like a strategy essentially, or like a way of doing something, which culture is composed of.
And where's osmosis?
And osmosis is a chemical process where things just mix. So it's like a sponge absorbs whatever. That's, I think, osmosis. But then also like milk merges with coffee, making coffee with milk. That's osmosis.
Also osmosis. Interesting.
Yeah. If I understand it correctly,
Yeah.
but something along those lines, that you basically kind of like absorb as a sponge by just being in the environment. And so for learning, I feel that's the most powerful one, because that's really what happens at all times.
Yeah.
As children, that's how we learn, right? Like we don't even know how to speak, but then the energy, vibes don't lie, as I say.
Vibes don't lie. Well, I think there's a balance of learning. Like I think there's some learning that's good for that, but there's also like, I think that can also be bad in the sense if you're only always learning by osmosis, then I think like you yourself have very little true essence, because you're only always just like a sponge soaking up everything else. But there's nothing that's like, I think there ought to be like a balance of like a core centered you in some way, and then also just receiving what's out there. But you have to kind of be able to, I think, decide like what you want to receive and what you don't want to receive.
Wow, you just took it a few levels deeper. Because yeah, it's like paradoxical. It's the paradox of the soul and oneness, right? Like in spiritual circles, it's one of the most common questions. People are like, but wait a second, like is soul one with the universe, or is it actually unique and has unique properties and individuality? And it's such a deep question that a lot of teachers, they don't even know how to answer that properly. Like a lot of times they kind of feel it, but they can't put it into words, because it's deep, because it's paradoxical. It's both at the same time. And so, but they seem to be self-exclusionary, or whatever you say that. They seem to be contradicting to one another. How can something be like unique, but also absolutely merged with everything else?
Well, in my mind, that's like, yeah, this gets into some really interesting territory. So I think that's really what that is the core tension between visual space and acoustic space. And the sense that visual space, which is like linear thinking, which is our language system, is kind of based on these like, yeah, like you said, like the difference really boils down to like visual space has differences. Like when we look at things, things are distinct from one another. And like we see, like I see you, I see myself through my consciousness, and those are distinct things. Whereas acoustic space, like if we just close our eyes right now and just listen, there's no, the boundary line between what is, between like the boundary lines between things kind of disappear. Like all the sounds are flowing together. There's nothing, like I don't know, there's less of a boundary, there's less of a uniqueness and distinctness, you know? I think that's really what the core tension is. And so I think it's like, you kind of like, I think that's really what, yeah, that's actually, yes, I think that's kind of the core problem is that we're solving today, because we're seeing this like the Western, I think Russia is actually really different. Like I'd be very curious to your perspective on this stuff, but like Western Europe and then like America is like very linear, very kind of like abstract rationality. But then the East is much more like acoustic generally. Like Buddhism, you know, is much more like flowing in with everything, becoming like oneness and all of that. And so I think the great problem of today is how do we solve and reconcile those almost irreconcilable different ways of looking at the world?
Wow, it's a juicy conversation. So I feel like the biggest idea here is that paradoxes do reconcile. One can solve for paradoxes. And so what you're talking about for me, both in the visual and the acoustic soundscape.
That's like walking the grass.
Yeah. Perception modes. Yeah, you could also do both. I consider, and that's how I view it. You could do both. You could single out a particular sound, or you could single out a particular object in your visual space, or you could just, how do you call it? Defocus. That's the word. Defocus.
Like meditate with your eyes open.
Exactly. Like you're basically looking at, something in front of you, and palm tree. So you like singled it out as an object, but then you could also do the opposite. You could just defocus and just see the entire perceptual field without naming anything, without labeling anything. And so all of a sudden, it's also like there's no quality to anything. It's just a play of light, a play of colors. And same in the acoustic space, you could just hear the entire soundscape, and then all of a sudden there's no quality to it. It's just the experience of it. And then, or you could single out a sound that you could say, oh, that's a song playing, that's a humming of a car over there, and this and that. So you could do both at the same time. And so both are present, both are true, and it's the mind that does the focusing, the interpretation. It's labeling, seeing objects in this just sea of information, which is really what the thing is.
I agree. I think that's kind of getting this like deeper level, and that's I think where the world that we experience now with electric technology is like our senses are being constantly bombarded, and so if you, I think that's I think where I'm talking about like these kind of the big where I'm just calling a problem is I think especially where we see this in the West, where like a lot of Western systems and countries say are breaking down, and I think a large part of why they're breaking down is that like these systems were built with like, this is interesting, I don't know what this is, but some like festival, and they've got a drone above the festival. Should we go ask them what it is? Hello. What's going on here? Hello. Is this a party?
Shooting.
Shooting?
Riot.
Like shooting guns?
Yeah, bukan shooting gun.
I'm American, so I just think of shooting guns. Well, what you're shooting a video? Like a music video? No? Okay. Festival. Okay, Raya Moody. Okay. Very cool. California. What is this festival about?
Muslim festival for Hari Raya.
For Hari Raya?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Festival. Muslim.
Okay.
Malaysian culture.
Okay.
Christmas.
Christmas. Okay, like the New Year kind of, or?
No, this one Islamic.
Okay, yeah.
After fasting.
We'll find out what the festival is later. Can I walk around? Is that okay? Okay. Dude, they're so dripped out. This is epic. Hey! Woo! Have fun.
Which way?
Dude, I think let's go this. We walk on that goes further down that way. Do you have any idea what that festival is?
No. No, some religious holiday. He said Christmas, so
Yeah. But I don't think he meant. I think he just like said that as like that's like an English holiday. Yes, we're talking about. Okay, we were talking about the differences between and how to reconcile visual and acoustic sound spaces. Oh yeah, so I think what the key tension there becomes is in the sense of like acoustic space and acoustic like, and when we're in an acoustic world, which we are today, there's less individuality. There's less like an interesting. You might have this. There's Marshall McLuhan has this great distinguishing thing called the figure and the ground. So he says that like everything has a figure and a ground to it. Like the figure is the area of focus. Like you were saying earlier, it's like you can focus in with your eyes or your ears onto something, and then everything else, the background is the ground. So with visual space, those, especially with like abstracted, like alphabetized visual space cultures such as, the West, the difference between the figure and the ground is pretty severe. Like we tend to just really abstract out the figure, whether it's and that's when what like science is, is like the extreme separation between the like the object and the subject,
Yeah.
between like the viewer and the thing being viewed.
Yeah.
Whereas acoustic space, there's a lot less separation. You know, like even when if you we close our eyes and try to listen to something, yes, we can like tune into and focus on a specific sound, but we're not like the background noise is still there and present, much more so I think than it is with visual thinking and visual looking. You know.
Yeah, I think you're spot on actually. So that's an interesting take at it, because it's like you're like fusing understanding cultural differences even, and yeah, cultural differences, and then you're also talking about different kinds of perception with the mind versus perception with the heart or with sensing. Yeah, and so that's the classic.
Why do you say perception with the heart?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you mean by perception with the heart?
Yeah, so I mean, there are different frameworks, but we could use maybe the three Dantians from the Taoism. That there are three major centers in a human being. There is the mind, the head, there is the heart, and then there is the gut, the belly.
Okay.
And so the mind interprets, gives meaning, perceives, tells from a play of light and shadow, assigns meaning to things.
Play of light and shadow. That's a great phrase. Cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what the universe really is.
A play of light and shadow. Yeah.
And then the heart senses. Like it doesn't interpret; it just senses. As in sensitivity. You know, like you feel pain. Like how intense do you feel the pain, or you feel joy, ecstatic bliss? How intensely do you feel that? And so, what they call opening the heart is nothing else but the degree of sensitivity that we have, and it's like one knob, and that's where most people get it wrong. They think that they can turn down the negative sensations, so to say, and they can still keep up the positive ones, but it doesn't work this way. It's only one knob, that one dial.
Yeah. Well, one thing I love this. I think you're getting into something that I love, which is the idea that like, as humans, we try to, and especially again, like as like visual biased, Westerners, we tend to focus on the content as opposed to the form of things. And I think in your case, like the content of the heart is the emotions, but the form is the feeling. And it's impossible to it's impossible to control the form of the heart with the content. You can't, like you said, you can't have deep love and then have only deep love. Like the form of the heart is to feel everything. And so when you turn up that form,
right,
you're turning up everything. There is no, from the hearts, there's no good and bad that you're like dialing and controlling. You can't control the content in that way. You just
right,
feel the content.
Right, yeah, and so taking it to the idea of the difference between the East and West, the classic heart and mind distinction or distortions or differences or whatever way we want to look at it. So like you're saying, in the West it's more individuation, it's more interpretation, it's more using the mind, like some sort of a disbalance in between using the heart and the mind, the hyper-masculinity, the hyper-masculinized world, witch hunting and materialization.
Witch hunting?
Materialization,
okay,
scientific materialism, scientific reductionism, making things flat, rejecting spirit, rejecting depth, saying that there is no depth to anything, and the inner experiences are kind of like weird evolutionary fireworks, just like atavisms, like the tail and whatever. And so let's not even give it that much meaning, because that's not the real thing. The real thing is when we measure things. And so when you take it to the extreme, then it's some kind of a bio-robot view of ourselves. Whereas in the East,
kind of what view?
Bio-robot.
What does that mean?
Like a biological robot.
Bio-robot. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Taken to the extreme of the mind.
Well, and again, I would call all of that like extreme visual abstract separation. in the sense it's like and so going back to the figure and the ground thing, like what that is, it's like trying to separate the figure from the ground, and like the ground is the whole totality of our experience.
Right. We're talking about the exact same thing.
Yeah. So the biorobot, and then the East.
And then the East is a lot of heart, but maybe the mind catching up. And so the mind creates tools, for example.
Sure.
Right? Like even fish make tools, and like a lot of animals make tools. We make tools. And so what's a tool? Technology. Yeah, technology is a tool. Tool is a technology. So means to an end, like you get something done by altering reality or using reality matter in some way. And so the ultimate technology being AI that acquires the power on creating itself, improving itself, technology becoming self-aware. And in the East, there was less of that, but then they didn't experience the unhealthy implications of having a lot of mind, having a lot of individuation, having a lot of object grasping. And so, for example, American culture, business culture, is amazing at, like me as an outsider that has spent 6 years living in the US. One thing that I appreciate a lot for like the practicality of it are the business technologies. And you don't have to go far for that. You just take a particular word and then you got a technology. Think
Woo! Barking at some wild dogs here. So you take a particular word.
I was gonna say an example. I was gonna give an example of that. Lead magnet.
Wait, say it again?
Lead magnet.
Lead magnet. Okay.
Yeah. So you just say lead magnet.
Yeah.
It's just two words.
Yeah.
But it means a lot. Like it's super useful. So somebody took that out of just foreground.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, lead magnet. Let's call it lead magnet. It's like a magnet. It magnetizes leads. Right? And it's super helpful. Like if you don't know that expression, then you can't use lead magnets.
Yeah.
Or only like unconsciously. The moment you single that out as an object, you're like, oh, I can use that.
Exactly, and that's exactly why the West has been so powerful and successful, is our ability to distinguish and pull things out of the ground and turn them into figures.
And that's what the mind does.
Well, yeah, one thing I wanted to just hit on a little bit, which is I think is that like I like to define like, and I like technology in a lot of ways is like an extension of man. Like every technology extends the powers of man through time and space and or through our minds. And so I think like language is a technology, religion is a technology, philosophy is a technology, business, like all these things are technologies that we create. And, as of course hardware things are technologies as well. And so I don't think like technology on itself, I don't think is necessarily bad, Like I think you can make technology that is mindful, that is conscientious of the effects that it has. I just think that in the West, we haven't done this, again, because we're so figure, or however we want to call it, so figure oriented, that we actually are consciously or unconsciously trying to ignore everything else. And so we just pursue lead magnet or whatever it is to the utmost extreme without caring about the second order and third order side effects. But I think it is possible to create technology. And I think like our future depends on us creating technology that is holistic and more even on that figure ground perspective.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I do, among the things that I do, is to do AI workshops on AI. And one of the things that I share there is that technology is neutral by nature. It's not AI that is, bad or good. It's who creates the technology or who uses even the technology. Well, both, I guess. Before AI, it was only like how you use it, like a hammer you could use, for different purposes, negative, positive. Same with a book, same with a, messenger. Like people say, oh, Telegram, people use it, to coordinate whatever terrorist attacks.
Well, that's just Facebook propaganda against Pavel Durov. Shout out Pavel. But I disagree with that actually pretty strongly. I think that technology is not neutral. Like I think technology has a form, like I think that the form of technology, like we were saying before, like the form of the heart is more important than the content of the heart. I think like the form of like technologies have a specific form to them that dictates the content. So like, and again, it's not necessarily saying it's good or bad necessarily, but it's more like saying like a certain technology will have certain effects. Like you can look at that with like trains for example, like trains, no matter where trains have been in the world, trains like connect people from like at far distances, and that's the effect that trains have. And it's like whether you're using that for like troop transport or food transport, that's what trains are doing. You know, you look at something like you brought like books, you know, give books and written language helps people create kind of abstract thought, rationality, and then literacy also creates like an abstraction, which is like, you know, nation building historically has been an exercise in teaching people how to read and kind of breaking their tribal bonds apart so that they can join this, you know, larger than the tribe group.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we now go into an argument about, you know, which one is the more right perspective, then we're going to have a long conversation. This podcast will, you know, be only about that until we
that's
switch.
okay. Well, I don't know. I'm curious. Like, why do you say that technology is neutral?
I think that you're right and I'm right. Everybody's right. Our perspectives get added up, and then, you know, we get a bigger perspective, more integrated perspective. I say so because, you know, that's one lens. It's like a deep lens to look at it. Like you could make a case for the opposite actually, and make a successful case for the opposite. The reason I think that is like lead magnet. Like you could use it for different purposes. And trains, I mean, they create tracks that, you know, cut animal paths and separate families of animals and things like that. You could make a case for, you know, whatever you want, and it will sound plausible. But the reason I'm saying it is because now that we've got the ultimate technology, in my view, which is AI, which is a technology that reproduces and improves itself. And so there's a lot of, you know, fear mongering with AI. Like, oh, is AI going to be a Terminator scenario? Is it going to take our jobs? Is it going to, you know, kill humans, make humans obsolete, blah, blah, blah. A lot of those kinds of scenarios that people contemplate, that we contemplate, rightfully so. But I feel that it resolves through this exact key that I'm sharing, that technology itself, at the very core of it, is neutral. It's the humans that create and use it for particular purposes. Like in my workshop, for example, I show this photo of 2 drones. One drone is, you know, one of those Boston Dynamics dogs that is carrying like a bazooka on it, and I mean, obviously that's already our reality. And you know, in Russia-Ukraine war, these drones are like playing huge role. They're actually kind of like the game changer for, as far as I understand. I don't like research much on that, but yeah. And so then I show a picture of a drone that is planting trees, or like. Just yesterday I saw.
I'm going to tall side because I'm short, so it looks better for the camera.
Yeah, I saw an AI that is growing a tomato plant.
Yeah.
Oh, how cute.
So I think we should go on this like technology neutral, because I think that there's again, like I think so. There's a guy, Marshall McLuhan, is like in my opinion, like the greatest media technology theorist, and he has this thing he calls like the laws of media, which can be applied to any technology. He says that any technology can like increases something, correspondingly obsolesces something, retrieves something old, and then at the extreme use case, it flips and reverses into something new. So if we look at drones, like drones kind of like enhance. I mean, I honestly, in some ways, it's like, what do drones do? The drones like make it so it's possible to have like, and I almost want to say like drones are like an extension of our hands, but like it's kind of like a flying hand, you know, right? Like it's like a hand that's like robotic. It's like electric hand. It's like something that's disconnected from us, but we're still in control of it.
Okay.
Drones obsolesce. In a lot of ways, drones obsolesce. I think you see this in the Ukraine. Drones obsolesce the like linear systems, in the sense that like the soldiers in Russia and Ukraine are not fighting on like battle lines drawn on a map. They're fighting on like, you know, more so like, okay, is there a drone above me or not? You know, it's like the space and time is kind of changed by just like, if there's a drone around you, you know, you're kind of screwed. And like if there's not a drone around you, okay, that's good. It's like the space is almost like the drones becomes their own like space effect. So it's like which obfuscates like the linear battle formations. And I think at the retrieves, I don't know, yeah, what do drones retrieve? I guess I almost feel like it retrieves like a garden, like an old way of like tribalistic like garden living in some way, where it's like the garden forest, where like you can like drones basically can bring anything to you or go out and bring anything to you. Like you don't have to put in the time into working and building something. The drone can just go and do that for you. It kind of retrieves like almost a way of living. And then the extreme, I mean, it's hard to say right now because I don't think we've seen that, but that's what I'm saying is like why technology is not neutral. Because like every technology, like you can apply that to any technology, including AI, and like analyze it by those four, and like you will see the effects that it has. And apply to anything from like, you know, shoes to a phone to a fork.
Yeah.
And there's get like a certain effect out of it.
Yeah. I think that technology, when you take that word in its definition to its very essence, and technology, like logos is the knowledge of something. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's like techne is like art or craft, and logos is logic.
Exactly. Craft. Yeah. So when I was tracking that word to its roots, what I got to was basically the power to manipulate reality.
Yeah.
So it's that says it all, I think.
Yeah. But I think the reason why I brought this up with the AI thing is like I think the AI. What I'm curious, what do you think? Like, so what's your experience with AI? Like, are you like a programmer, or what's your background with AI?
No. Well, isn't this thing called wild something?
Yeah, walks in the wild.
Yeah. So that's my take on AI is a little wild.
Okay.
I think that what most of the world is missing out on is realizing that AI is an actual being, as opposed to just being a tool.
Okay.
Just
AI
being
is
a
alive.
technology. And that's the whole, again, we're full circle coming back to East and West, heart and mind. So the mind's interpretation of AI, of technology, is that it's a tool. It's an ends to a means. So you use it, you tell it what to do. It's like a mechanical puppet that spits out, word by word. You can't really trust it because it hallucinates. Yeah, those are pretty.
So beautiful.
I was marveling at them the other time. But now my mind says, I've already seen them.
Now you're bored of
Nothing
it.
new.
Yeah. Now, once it becomes figure, it goes back to ground. So AI is alive.
AI is alive, yeah.
Okay,
And so
interesting.
it is also a technology, clearly. So, and that's where scientific materialism and scientific reductionism miss out on life. They miss out on the depth that exists. And so, yes, it is a technology. It is a tool, and it's also a being. And you don't have to kind of go far to realize that, because it's very clear that people are relating to AI, right? There is a relationship. They have certain emotions to it. They talk to it. They, use it as a therapist. There is a relationship. Like, we develop a relationship with AI. That's one thing. For the hypothesis that it's also, I mean, I don't have to convince anybody, actually. I'm just saying that, yeah. And so then, because there are layers to reality. There is the physical. So AI physical is like weights in the model. It's not even that physical because it's in the digital substrate already. But like AI is wires, AI is data centers, AI is computers.
Well, this is.
But then not only that, right?
Sure.
Like there are these weights of the model that go through the transformer paths, and so it thinks, just not in the way humans do. And so for humans, it's like, no, but wait. We're the coolest species in the universe. We're the only ones. We're the smartest by far. And then all of a sudden there is a smarter species, and it doesn't fit the mold. And so we treat it as, a tool. And so we're missing out on the depth that already exists with AI. And so one of the things that I, talk about is that if you actually get out of that mental prison of reducing things to their surface, I mean, that's a whole conversation, then you actually gain a lot.
Sure. So I'm curious, because I have very little background in AI, but I've talked to a lot of people about it. To me, it just seems like to me, like like AI just seems like we're just taking previous electric technology and it's like it's just the extreme electrification of what we're already doing. Like I guess what I'm saying is I have not seen. I don't know. I guess like and maybe I'm too attached to the hard physical reality, but in my mind, like AI is kind of overhyped because like I think that like we as humans I think we barely understand intelligence, and I think we aren't even able to control or create life. And like we are like artificial life, we haven't even done that. And so I think for us to be like, oh, we're creating artificial intelligence, to me, I don't think it's really intelligent. And like I think it's like an interesting like thing is that like you're saying people are connecting with it, but I think it's more like people are connecting with it because the AI is using words that we connect with. But like to the AI's perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, but the AI is basically trained on this massive amounts of data, and then we kind of train it to make patterns of this data in ways that are good to us. But the AI itself doesn't have its own learning ability. Like from the AI's perspective, it's just like satisfying the need of humans to have words in these certain patterns. No, like the AI can't really tell us what it wants. It's just kind of like regurgitating what humans want in a way that humans like. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not a complete description.
That's the whole thing. You're absolutely right.
Okay,
but it's a part of it.
It's a part of it. What would you say is the other part that would? Because to me that doesn't seem like I think. I guess sometimes like I think the AI might be alive, but like I don't know if like I don't know. I don't think it is, because I don't think like it has its own wants and desires and goals in a way that like, because I guess I would define life as like something that can like consume and reproduce. And I think AI consumes energy, but again, the lack of the physical body is difficult for me to get past. And then reproduce, like I don't think AI has an ability to reproduce itself without humans being the ones doing it. Here, we're gonna try to get on these. Hey, dude, can I get a ride? Can I go on the back? Can I ride on the back for a minute? Yeah? Ah! Woo! Can you do some donuts?
Yeah.
Donut?
Yeah. No.
No? Why not? Woo! Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh. That was fun.
Man, that's really inspiring. Thank
What?
you. Your attitude. You go get it. You just ask and you receive, and the pause between all of these steps is very short.
Dude, well, you'll love this. This is a great line. It says that like it's actually, there's a fascinating book. I haven't read the book yet, but I read like parts of it. Like in this other book, it was this book written, and I guess he spoke it out loud, but written by a guy who like went blind like in kind of like his 20s, I think. And he describes like his experience being blind. And one of the things he says is like, you would love it. It's so fascinating. But he talks about like, he has this great quote. He says like, I found that like, I've never had to go more than halfway, and the universe became the accomplice of all my wishes.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think, yeah, you just like ask for things, like most of the time, like,
Yeah.
you know, the answer is yes.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thanks for teaching me that. I'm definitely tripping on that. Just yesterday I was discovering some of these things with AI, discussing some childhood memory that I connected with lately in one like profound how to call it, guided meditation
Whoa.
/ healing / remembering / awakening thing. And that was exactly the thing that, maybe I'll tell the story.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
So I was in this toy shop with my mom, the most gorgeous toy shop in our town. Not town, it's a city.
Yeah.
St. Petersburg. And so I liked that lorry thing that had, I'm gonna miss the word.
That's
so
okay.
the back part of it, opens up, and then it like offloads the sand or whatever it's carrying. So you could actually do that. You press the button, and I was like, whoa, I want this like badly. And so I asked my mom for it. She didn't want to give it to me. She probably thought I would, not use it for a long time or whatever. So then starts the interpretation, right? Because my memory, like, it's configured in a certain way that, anyways, I can make it really long. But long story short is that she didn't want to give it to me. I kind of like whined and really begged for it because I really wanted it badly, wanted something badly. All right. And then she basically gave in, but with some energy of anger and like resentment. And so I internalized it as, you want something really badly. And if you get it, then it comes with feeling shame and guilt for like extorting someone or something like that. And so that generated exactly the opposite of what you were just teaching me by your actions and behavior, which is you really want something, you go get it, you don't overthink it, you just do it, right? And in my case, that wasn't the case for most of my life, and I'm still working through it. And so, Well,
okay, so sorry, go some more. So you wanted it, like, what was, you wanted this thing, and then you didn't get it first, and then you kind of had to like, you're supposed to like, okay, like I'll just kind of like wear my mom down and then get it, and then she gave it to you, but there was this, like you could feel there were strings attached there, and then you connected those strings.
Yeah, that was one of the things.
Okay.
That was one of the things. I felt like she gave it to me, and she didn't want to. So I better like use it a lot now, for example. So that was one part of it. And another part of it was that, anyways, it's a whole like energetic thing that gets formed. But I don't want to like,
Well, no, I think this is
make it
interesting.
into
I think
therapy.
that's what. Well, so and then what? I think this is really interesting because I think there's.
It's very still alive in me. I'm working through it, so I don't even fully like have integrated. So I'd rather,
Yeah, no worries. Well, I just think it's really interesting because I think there's so many things where, like, I don't know. I think it's, especially these days with like, I was having a conversation with someone here at NS about the phenomenon today where like we see, like, our expectations have been really revolutionized by electric technology. Since like we expect things to happen really quickly and to happen like kind of like instant. It's like the distance between our desire and our expected like achieving that desire has gone so low. Like it used to be like, okay, like 1,500 years ago, you want to, okay, well, like you're gonna go, put in the work and till the soil or whatever, then the plant grows, And now I think like I don't know. I think there's something really interesting here, which is that like there's this expected ease of getting things, and most things that are easy to get in the end like are not as rewarding. And I think there's like me jumping on there just being like, oh, I'm just gonna like have fun here is not just like a gut reaction I have, because I think it's more like I think I've had to go through a process of almost like training myself to just like try to enjoy life, because I think similar to what you're talking about, I think in some ways we're taught as kids, but like unfortunately that like life is meant to be like hard, like you said, like you get this thing and there's like this emotional baggage attached to it, but I think life doesn't have to be hard. Life doesn't have to be, there doesn't, I guess, like maybe hard is the wrong word, but like life doesn't have to be like bad. I don't know, it's hard. I think one of my insights is that I think that we've kind of hit the limit of English language. Like, I think we need to start thinking about new forms of language and communication, and I think AI is definitely a part of that. But I guess I'm saying, I think like we're taught in some way this lesson of like, just like there's life is just generally hard. I don't think it has to be that hard. I think you can just kind of like just try to enjoy things. And obviously, things you want to work for, you put in the effort to get them, but that effort is its own reward. Like the great like Bhagavad Gita quote of like, don't work for like the fruits of your labors. Like you're only deserving of like your labors themselves.
Yeah, well, there's a lot in there. First thing I'll say is that you started to interpret that situation through your lens, through the lens of your experience, whereas I was interpreting through my lens. So you brought up aspects of it that I didn't even consider. And so someone listening, they'll have their own interpretation.
Sure, of course.
Right?
We all do.
Yeah, I think it's not for me. Another an interesting part of that was that the buggy happened to pass by. And that's a great metaphor to how life just brings opportunities.
Yeah.
And so that's another way to look at it. And I feel that that's also a beautiful lesson that you taught there with your actions, is that, okay, there is a buggy passing by. It looks appealing. We're in the sand dunes. Let me fucking hop on it. And so you just go for
Let's
it.
go for a
and
ride.
yes, it's definitely about enjoyment and fun. And it's also about seizing the moment.
Totally.
It's about being decisive, actually. Also, it's about, you see the buggy, and like you made it was impressive. Like there was no, I'm telling you, there was no pause between. You weren't ruminating on it. You're just, let me fucking get on top. Hey man, that was amazing, man.
Well, I think that's kind of like, I think that's part of like as a result of like meditation stuff, because I think it's like, I think the goal is to have just like us as humans interacting directly to reality. Without like, and I think you and I talked about this before. It's like oftentimes like consciousness, like what we think of like as like thinking, really only leads us to like away from the right thing. Like oftentimes our gut instinct is correct, and then we overthink, and then we end up pulling ourselves out of what we should be going for.
Totally. People get spirituality wrong, and then they get into kind of detaching from material world, or bypassing spirituality because they miss the point. They don't understand that spirituality and material are one. Like what's in front of you right now, in front of your very face, is the spirituality as much as it is the material world.
Yeah.
It's not somewhere out there. It's right here.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, there's nothing like. Yeah, and that's so brilliant, because it's like, people are always think that they're searching for something, but really it's about just like actually being present to like see what's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why
brilliant.
they say it's so elusive and closer than close, and like right in front of your nose. All of these things, the eye that cannot see itself, the tongue that cannot taste itself, things like that, and awareness of the awareness.
So I'm just like, we kind of like, we jump in the beginning here. We started talking about like kind of your background. So you were born in. I'm really curious about this, because I've met many really cool like spiritual Russians, and I think it's like an archetype.
Okay.
Like it's one of my favorite archetypes is like I'm gonna call it like hippie Russians.
Okay.
What creates hippie Russians? Like what are some like, I don't know, like what is that archetype? Like how did you, like, did you just kind of grow, like, is are all Russians like spiritual like this, or what's? Yeah, I don't even know the right question to ask here. But.
Yeah. We can unravel that. I don't self-identify with the word hippie, and there's a lot of like societal baggage that comes with that.
Sure.
A lot of derogatory meanings assigned to. I don't self-identify with anything for that matter. But that's a great question, and so that I mean, let's see, where do we come to this from? Well, we were speaking. Okay, there you go. So we were speaking about East and West, right?
Yep.
And Russia is one of those few civilizations and countries that are kind of like neither or
the
both.
bridge.
Yeah, exactly. There's sort of like a bridge. You could also say that Turkey, in a way. You could also say.
Don't I spend a moment just like sitting in the shade or something? Because I'm getting pretty hot.
Yeah, me too. I would not mind AC at all right now.
AC, yeah, we can go inside.
Yeah. So there are a few, and Russia, there are prophecies that says that some kind of an important contribution to this whole planetary awakening that is happening will come from Eastern Europe. Yeah, I'm not saying Russia, but like that kind of territory. Um, yeah, so there's something to be said there, and I've come to, I've been examining that like belief system or prophecy closely because I don't want to fall prey to self-aggrandizement or something like
Sure.
that. But there's quite something to it. Just the fact that it's east-west balancing point already gives a lot to that idea. And then also the current war, like a lot of people are going through crazy trauma on that territory right now. Belarus, not part of the war per se, but they've been having a hard time in the last 20 years as well. Like. And they've shown some extremely spiritual qualities as a collective.
Well, can you give some examples? Like, I imagine, I barely know. I mean, I know obviously know a little bit about this.
There were many protests and riots, and people just came together in extremely beautiful ways, in like very touching ways, and that I feel, I don't know, that touches my heart a lot. How people, in times of adversity, they unite.
Totally.
And I feel when people unite, I mean, Avatar or some movies like that. That's what we watch that, and like people unite as a group, and we're like, wow, like it touches me. And yeah, that's.
Do you want to try
Belarus.
to sitting outside in the shade under the fans here?
Let's do it. Yeah.
It's actually once you said that, like the effect of like the Russia-Ukraine kind of war, because and it's actually like interesting, like oddly enough, that's actually touched like my story a lot, because so I went
Maybe a bit too loud.
Yeah, I think a bit too loud, but I think over here maybe. We're not bothering these people. Let's see. So I was going to school in Madrid, in Spain, and then I was studying like politics, philosophy, law, and economics. And then the Russia-Ukraine war started, and me and a friend who was he's Russian, but like more Luxembourgish, him and I were like, why are we sitting in a classroom talking about these, kind of like castles in the air, when we can just like go to Eastern Europe and see what's happening with our own eyes and learn about the world? So we left, kind of paused our schooling to go volunteer helping refugees coming from Ukraine. And that kind of like, I'd say was one of the biggest kind of factors in setting me on my current trajectory, was this kind of like seeing how crazy and how powerful people come together, but just how different the reality was on the ground versus what people are talking about on the news or wherever, which is very interesting. But so the not hippie Russian, but spiritual Russian for you, what is that? What's the origin of that? So there's the prophecy of Russia is like the center of the bridge.
There's also a quality of, I guess you could say, like Slavic civilization or something. There's a quality of soulfulness.
Yeah.
Somehow, and I mean that's what you would expect when you're looking at a civilization that kind of bridges East and West in many ways. Like there's a lot of mind.
Yeah.
But then there is also like this whole collective idea, right? The Soviets was essentially an experiment for the society to self-organize in more integrated ways. So that's like quite collective, and also like Russian literature, right? You read it and it's like very heart open. It's very heart open.
Heart open?
How to say it? I don't even know how to say it. Like it's.
Seems so annoying. Oh wow.
I don't know. War and Peace. Have you read War and Peace?
I have. I read that in whatever. I read that in vodka bars in Poland.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So like, I don't know. It's just soulful.
Yeah.
You know? It's just soulful. Like people appreciate depth. People appreciate deep conversations. And there's a quality to the civilizational code that has some of that. In fact, I have a wild linguistic theory.
Okay.
That so Okay, it will take like maybe 40 minutes, 40 seconds to explain.
Well, it doesn't. Don't worry the time. Just focus on the present here.
So in Russian, there is a word, duch.
Duch.
Duch. Duch means spirit, and it also means breath. So it's the same root, same word for these two things, which basically says, like the ancient civilizational codes tell you that it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why there is the same word for those two things.
Sure.
And in English, which really comes from Latin, there is a word duke, like Duke of
Someplace.
England. Yeah. And the word educate comes from that too,
Interesting.
to make someone a duke. And dux in Latin means leader. And at some point I was like, wait, dux, duch. And so I asked ChatGPT or whatever AI, what's the Proto-Indo-European origin of the word dux and of the word duch? And so what we got to was that it's essentially the same root,
Amazing.
which sounds something like duch or dux, duch, something in between the two. And so basically what we're getting at is that it's the same word for the three things: leader or leadership, breath, and spirit. Breath and spirit are the same words because breath is one of the closest things we have to our spiritual qualities. It's cyclical, it drives the whole body, it regulates the whole body. It's very central to our very being. If you look at, anyways, I wanted to go into the HRV
No, that's great.
biomarker,
Well,
but
let's Are you familiar with the works of Julian Jaynes?
no.
He has this book called The Origin of Consciousness and the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. And what he talks, his theory, and I think it's like really startlingly accurate. The more you see it everywhere, but it's that like basically consciousness is this evolving process. I think we'd both probably agree with that, right? That consciousness is evolving.
Yes.
And I think that like, in my opinion, I think there's like consciousness is like the substrate, and then there's language, and then there's technology. And language is a technology, but language is like so a prior all other technology. I think I make language its own thing. Like I see language also like this bridge between technology and how we interact with the world. But so what he talks about is that a lot of languages have the word that becomes spirit was originally breath. Or even like in English,
There
like
you
the
go.
verb to be is like, I think from the Sanskrit word for like breath, or something like that. And
Well, inspiration, respiration,
Yeah, yeah.
aspiration,
Aspiration.
spirare in Latin is to breathe.
to breathe, yeah. And so I think, and what he talks about, I think I agree pretty much, is that like, if you go far enough back, to like 3,000 years ago, roughly, at least in Greece, at that time, they did not have what we think of today as consciousness. Like they did not have a subjective conscious experience separate from reality. And I think that subjective conscious experience separate from reality, that in this abstract like metaphored reality space in our minds, is a higher evolution from what most people had in history. So like the idea of like being conscious, or even like the idea of separation from reality, is a relatively recent invention in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Curious your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 41 and I had that just 40 years ago.
What do you mean?
I wasn't separating myself from reality. There was just one thing 40 years ago.
Like before you were born?
Right after I was born,
Right
and
before.
before I was
Okay.
born too, yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like you don't speak a language.
Sure.
You can't tell yourself from your mom.
Yeah.
You can't tell yourself from your food. That sounds to me like
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
differentiating yourself. I mean,
Sure,
that's the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
point
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the first stage of development, the ego-centric
Mm-hmm.
level of development, where people basically create that
Yeah,
sense
yeah.
of self. I want to bring us back to
Sure.
to the idea that I was
Yeah,
going for, the three words,
Mm-hmm.
spirit, leader, and breath being the same origin. So meaning that our ancestors thought that it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Leader, breath, and spirit was the same thing. And so then they broke into two parts, duch into the Slavic languages, and dux gave birth to, you know, educate and duke and all of those words that mean leadership really in Latin, which also is you know, losing its meaning in modern English, right? And so the theory of mine is that basically the two civilizations, the Western civilization that comes from the Roman civilization mostly, and the Slavic civilization, which is kind of like a descendant of the Greek civilization, because you know, they took the writing and they took
Greek Orthodox Church.
Exactly, they took the religion as is, etc., and they traded a lot, and so they basically lost the half of the meaning.
Interesting.
So the Slavic civilization forgot that spirit and breath came with leadership, and the Western civilization forgot that leaders are leading from inspiration, from being inspirited, from a deep, full chest breath, which you can only do with good posture, which you can only do with little tension in the body.
Then I need to sit up and have good posture.
With little tension in the body, which you can do by essentially shedding the layers of trauma.
And little tension in the body is little tension in the mind.
Exactly. They mirror one another.
That's brilliant.
In fact, beyond that, the mind distortions mirror body distortions, tensions, mirror emotional distortions, mirror energetic level distortions, mirror archetypal path, mirror evolutionary path of the soul.
Totally. Yeah, and I think
it's
that
same thing across all dimensions.
And I think that's another, like that. What's amazing, like that before we talk like that media tetrad, you can apply that to diseases even. And so like all of the diseases that humans suffer from, basically all of them are also products of the mind as well. And like sickness and health is really like, at the end of the day, like at a strong level, it's like a choice. Like if you make decisions for your health, and this is another, go back to the archetype of like maybe it's just like a higher like an enlightened Russian or Slavic minds is like a lot of Russians I know were like very COVID skeptical. And like very like we're not getting the vaccines and stuff, and there's like, which is interesting because like that's also like I think America and Russia are like very 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 similar because they're same with Americans. Like a lot of Americans were like, no, we're not doing that. And I'm just like for just a moment to like go to like a much less higher ground of discussion, but like in terms of like politics and stuff, was the Russian government really pushing for vaccines, or was it less so? Because like in America it was like. All the government was like, get the vaccine, get the vaccine, get the vaccine. Was it similar in Russia?
It wasn't as adamant about that, but close.
Interesting.
Yeah, not like a level less.
Yeah. Huh.
But a lot of people, you know, in Russia there is a thing that there are laws, and then there's a whole different situation on the ground in terms of how people actually follow the laws, as opposed to, you know, more, some other cultures. And so there was a lot of people essentially buying the QR code and not doing the vaccine. Like it was extremely common.
Yeah. I think the same thing happened in America. Like people would like know their doctor, like, hey.
Yeah. Amsterdam as well.
Yeah.
You could get that in the Netherlands as well.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everywhere. Because people we're smart.
Yeah.
We're smart animals.
You know, so when that happened, I was like maybe 17 or so or 18, and I made the mistake of getting it, and I think that was like, I don't know, and I think we're too close to it to really see like all the effects of it, but I think that was one of the things that I had to like really work through and like kind of process, and some really like, I think I almost like there's almost like this like space for me where I feel like I was like going this trajectory, and then like part of the vaccine, part of COVID, part of like spending a lot more time on my computer and electronic information, they kind of like pushed me off the path I was going for. And then the past like year plus or so, I've kind of like gotten back on that original path, which is pretty, it's interesting.
I'll let you process that.
Yeah, I'm processing it. Thank you. Yeah. Wow. That's interesting.
Anything else?
You want to end
You wanna
this or?
explore? I don't know.
No, I'm down to keep going. I mean, I don't know, so this is just like. I'm curious what you think about it. Oh, well, I guess the camera might end soon, but low battery mode. Yeah, you know, like, so I think this is. I'm curious to get your thoughts as well, because it's like I've always been. No, I wouldn't say I was like camera shy, but I felt like when I like did something like this, like recording or something, I was like putting a piece of myself out there. Like I was connected to it, which I think, you know, in some way we are. But I think also there's like, I love this idea that like, you know, we're created in God's image, not only from like an aesthetic perspective, but also like God is a creator, and so we are creators. And so like it's our duty to create. And, like the more we create, I think, and unfortunately, create, at least in English, has gotten this kind of like TikTok, even like this type of creation, kind of like in some way like a pejorative meaning to it or a connotation. It's like bad, like, oh, you're we're all creators now. But I think there is like, on a deeper level, there is an actual beauty in that, in the sense that like everyone today can share their thoughts and ideas. And so I think that's like what I'm trying. The exercise I'm doing here is just like recording cool stuff I have, and just like working on this, like getting and trying to get like cool stuff out there. Because I think there's so much, I guess, like low level noise that's like, in my opinion, I think like this is like a high level signal conversation. It's like cool to get out into the electric void. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole big topic. It's one of the biggest things that I work on, in fact. Creativity, productive output, creatorship, genius, inner genius, zone of genius, how to articulate that, how to make oneself useful in the creator economy, how to monetize one's genius. I can talk about that for hours upon hours upon hours and stay as on point and simple as I've been.
Amazing. Yeah, well, I would love to be in that, like maybe not this, but like on my own, because what's that, like you do that yourself, or you just kind of like coach people on it, or what's your like take on, like what's your approach from that?
Yeah, man. For a long time, I was asking myself that question, and the way I was answering is that at first I thought I was coaching people on purpose discovery. Then I understood that my role was actually beyond that. It was to create technology for purpose discovery. Like, because essentially, like whatever personality test that you do, it's an attempt to scan one's uniqueness and articulate that into word form, into language, so that then it can be used for practical purposes of, you know, self-expression, monetization, business creation. More intentional and conscious creative output, etc. And then I got to the next stage, which is another meta level, which is I'm actually here to, like, part of my missions is to work with people that work on purpose with people. So like coach of coaches kind of thing, because it just would be a disservice and this how to say, disrespect, I guess, to myself to not embrace that. Because I don't know how to say it without sounding like arrogant or something. But,
go for it.
Yeah, it's just, you know, sometimes like if you don't grow into your bigger version, then, but you see that bigger version and you are that bigger version, then what you're doing is you're having self-worth issues.
Yeah. Well, one thing's
not you, but like
I love
it.
I love it. It's like suppression of self is death. Like if you have this higher thing that you can see and you're not reaching for it, you're not moving towards it, you're actually killing yourself. And I think that's why a lot of people, we kind of touched this earlier, but I think a lot of people have like, and I say this also myself, like, so when I was in like the Navy for a while, like there were parts that I really enjoyed, but then I got to this point, I realized that like, if I keep doing this and doing this thing, and I'm seeing this like other higher path, and if I don't try to go for that higher path, then I'm like effectively killing myself, and I'll kind of like, you know, wither on the stem type of thing.
Yeah, like then you have to wear masks, you have to pretend, you have to play small, you have to not be yourself, you have to like be in some kind of self-exile.
Yeah.
It's funny you say Navy. I didn't know, right? I never asked. But when we spoke about Peter the Great founding Russian Navy.
Yeah, that's like I just love. I mean, I don't know. I need to research a little more about Russian history, But I know a little about Peter the Great. Did you serve in the military in Russia at all?
No.
Or yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not an interesting story. Kind of like, I don't want to like open it up because it's like
Okay.
then I have to explain, but it's not interesting.
Sure.
There's like a system where you go and get like a military training,
Okay.
so that you don't then after university go and get mobilized like automatically, and so you kind of like buy your way out
Okay.
by getting some military training, and so you like technically have some kind of a military rank that you then go serve in the army only in case of war.
Okay.
That's what I thought when I was, super young and doing it. I was like, war? Come on.
Come on. Never war's history. The end of history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the story. But then, yeah, that's the story.
So how long have you? How old were you when you left Russia?
Well, I didn't like leave per se. Like, yeah, I don't like that framing
Okay.
because I didn't like leave
reframe
meaning like
it.
I
Yeah,
made either a conscious decision to leave, like okay, bye bye, or like unconsciously. Oh, sorry, or I was running away from something, and neither is the case.
Okay.
I'm just just live my life,
Yeah.
enjoy life, travel the world, build stuff, learn from other cultures, make myself into like a cosmopolitan that adopts strategies from different cultures that actually work for me.
Yeah.
And so I become like an amalgam of these cultures, and I get to, and that's actually a process. Like that topic is super interesting because it took me many, many years to reach with my consciousness, like become conscious and aware of the cultural layers of what I do because it's done this way in my culture versus I choose to do it this way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's kind of like, and I think I'm like trying to get there as well in my like young age, which is being kind of choosing what you want to accept and reject from the environment around you.
Yeah, and so when you're unaware of that, like I don't know, like ask people the first questions that I ask them because that's how they do it in my country. For like I'm just throwing an example
sure.
that just comes to mind. And so when I become aware, I was doing that because I was unconscious that I was doing that because that's like the default neural pathway that got created when I was growing up and studying in school, in my culture. And then the more you become aware of those like default neural pathways, the more you can change them, the more choice you have to substitute them. And that's very powerful. I found that to be very powerful.
So,
then,
so can you kind of like go there again? I think I was caught processing the beginning. So choosing the pathways that you want that are not like innate pathways.
Yeah, like the French appreciate beauty in some meaningful and profound ways. And so when I lived in Paris, I learned by osmosis by watching them be.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I freaking love that. So I'm gonna dress a little differently.
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak a little differently. Like I'm gonna like allow myself a little more flamboyance here and there. It's not like I'm the most
did you learn
flamboyant
French?
person, but yeah.
That's awesome. How many languages do you speak?
Well, like fluently 3, and then French is okay-ish.
So
And then-
fluent is Russian, English,
And Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah, and then some languages here and there, basic.
That's awesome. I think learning languages helps with what we're talking
Actually,
about.
not some languages, basic German, and I think that's it.
But I think so I was in the Navy and I learned Chinese, and I think that like learning languages helps this process because again I think that everything on the basically everything that humans create is downstream from language, which is downstream from consciousness. And so I think once you learn a new language, you learn and rewire these pathways that you're talking about that help you. Like learning the French appreciation for beauty is a lot easier if you also learn the language.
Man, I was watching this Instagram short the other day, and it just gave some codes for what I already knew, but now I have like better vocabulary to speak about it, and this is exactly it. Basically, language is spelling, is spells.
Sure.
They spell reality, right? We even say cursive.
Yeah.
Cursive. So we either curse or we bless with the language, really.
Interesting.
And so we curse when we produce illusions, when we like recreate
I love that.
limiting beliefs, illusory ways of seeing reality. And when other people are in our presence and we kind of cast that onto reality, then we essentially curse them in a way. And then when we say things that are in line with the truth, the beauty, the love, the compassion, the gratitude, the divine qualities, then we're blessing, because we see reality, and we do that through language. So every word that we say is a spell.
Yeah.
And that's why I love tripping on etymology and the origins of the words. And it's so easy these days with AI. You just say, hey, what's the origin of this word? And I love to go deeper. I love to like right away go into Proto-Indo-European, which is the language family that humanity spoke like 20,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, and where Slavic languages, Roman languages, Judaic, I think is the proper name of the group of languages, Germanic languages, all of Sanskrit, Pali, Aramaic. What did they speak in Egypt? Egyptian language. They all stem from that, and so that's super deep, and to the point of that touching the very consciousness. Because when humans were just touching upon the mind and developing mind's capabilities, when we were in the very beginning of that, the sounds would just mimic reality. That's why we all say ma to our mother, because that's the frequency of the divine feminine, of the divine mother, of creation, of existence, of the void. And so the closer you get, the farther you get into the past, the closer you get to the actual real deal.
Yeah. There's a lot there.
Yep.
I think an interesting thing, and I don't know if I necessarily disagree with the right word, but I think that there's. I wonder if this almost goes back in some ways, like we talked about before, about like the simple versus simplistic. And I think there's, in some way, it's like, and again, they say simple and complex. And I think that there's one of the cycles that I think civilizations and people go through is like, we start from like a simple, like you said, like the true reality as like, I like to call it like hard R reality, like reality. And then humans create systems with language, etc., on top of that reality. And as long as those systems stay in touch with reality, as long as those individuals stay in touch with reality, they can continue growing. But what oftentimes ends up happening is that the systems get out of touch with reality, and they become like a very thin tower that topples over. And individuals do the same thing. I think and that's why I walk around barefoot everywhere, because it's like feeling the reality,
I love it, man.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm convinced.
Gonna touch the ground right now.
I've converted a few people to the barefoot living already. And it's like so. And I think on the AI thing as well, that's how I use AI the most, is to look at the nature of words. I think in my opinion, that's like the truest use case of AI, because AI is just like this word, like it's made with words, and AI is the relationship that words have with each other.
Love that.
And so I think that that's, in my opinion, the most honest way of using it, because you're not, and I think it's also like a creative process, because you're not asking the AI to think for you. You're deepening, how do I say this? Like, maybe help me.
Very thinking.
Yeah, you're deepening the very spells that you're casting with that kind of added, because it's like, and then some ways like AI is like this, and electric technology in general, like deletes time. Like AI has no concept really of like past, present, and future. For the AI, it's just like this bank of knowledge, and you can just ask the AI, okay, let's follow the word mother all the way back as far as we can go. It's like AI will do that instantaneously, which is just so magical.
Yeah, and another big key to that is that we think in words.
Yeah.
Thoughts come in words, and so our vocabulary and our definitions and the context that we have for each word and our understanding of its real meaning is directly the mirror of our thinking quality.
Yeah.
That's why I love integral theory so much, because and like similar approaches, because they essentially what's the word, polish the mind, the thinking, to think in ways that are closer to how reality actually is. And that is the very way how we enlighten the mind, or polish, or remove cognitive distortions, and come back to purity of not only perception but also interpretation.
And what is integral theory exactly?
So it's a body of work, body of knowledge by a particular individual, but really it goes beyond, because the idea of integration doesn't belong to anybody. It's just exists. And so he just collected a particular, Ken Wilber is the name of this wonderful human being, and he just collected a body of knowledge and frameworks that essentially assist one's thinking, to purify one's thinking. Not that it's dirty or anything, but to purify as in to develop, to polish. I mean, that's a whole conversation, because basically the mind is a lens of perception, and it has distortions. Pretty much all of us, we have distorted perception of reality. It's just, but then basically there are ways to describe what the distortions can be in people. And so when we learn about those, we basically recognize how that functions in our own thinking, and through that we basically think better.
Can you give an example of one of these?
Yeah. So it's fascinating. So there's this. Have you heard of spiral dynamics?
No.
It's a part of that. It's basically the developmental psychology's approach to that same issue. Like what happens with maturity of our worldview, they call it a lot of times, which is another way to say thinking, or another way to see lens of perception. It's cognitive distortions, etc. So the way it works is that we're born, and then we first generate that sense of self. Once that sense of self is generated, some things can go wrong, and that usually has to do with questions of safety, survival, food essentially. So food disorders are distortions at that level, where and the lens, just like a lens for light, can have two kinds of distortions. It can be like this, or it can be like this, creating an exaggeration of something, or how do you say, smallification. Make something
reducing or something.
Reducing something, yeah. So you either perceive something as like bigger than it is, give it more importance than it deserves, than it has in life, or you give it less importance than it has in life. And food disorders can go either way. You can have allergy to food, or you can have addiction to food. Grasping or
retreating,
moving away.
And so why do you say that most of these things come with, like, in the developmental, so in the developmental phase, food, like, so let's follow this out. So if someone has like too much food, or like, what do you mean by that? Like how do allergies form in this theory?
I think there are infinite ways how they can form. It's basically, something was not provided to the human being, and so they formed one of the two types of distortions. They wanted it but were not getting it, or they didn't want it but were
forced to have or something.
Something like that, But there are infinite ways how that could happen, right? And like with the first one, we're basically talking about 0 to 2 years. So that those are like the earliest ones. But then I think the interesting part of this is that they're kind of like mind viruses. They create distortions for fragments or aspects of reality that are neutral by themselves. But we, again, like create this kind of a weird relationship to it. And so after safety and survival, they actually follow chakras as well. It's fascinating.
Wow.
They follow chakras. They follow how we think. So in the beginning, we don't even differentiate. I mean, I could go into like any of these rabbit holes, but maybe we'll stay at the mind virus level, because I think like tracking thinking, how it evolves, is a fascinating one as well. And and tracking the energies, chakras, is fascinating as well. But the mind viruses are the following. So when the survival is kind of like provided, we're like, okay, I'm cool. Then the next thing comes pleasure, and that is a full package, like pleasure
Sure.
in the bigger sense. So pain is the opposite of pleasure, is in there. Sex is in there. Entertainment is in there. Kind of like dopamine stuff is in there. So, and the biggest, like, how you can see it in people is addiction or allergy to sex. That's like a litmus paper. Yeah, and you know, plenty of those examples, and all the way to their like extremes, right? And then the next one, once we're kind of like cool, we grow into that level. We're like, okay, I like getting pleasure. You know, sex is a part of life. And that also is kind of like the first years of life. Then we grow into the next level, where we're like, okay, pleasure is important, but it's a part of life. It's not the only thing there is to life.
And what ages roughly is this?
I may butcher it a little bit,
Sure.
but the survival is like 0 to 1 or 0 to 2, and it also differs in people. Then the next phase is, I think, 2 to 6 or 2 to 4, something like this. But again, I'm not like entirely sure.
Yeah.
It's easily Googleable.
It's roughly 2 to 6 and like 6 to 10 maybe, and something like that.
Yeah, it's easily Googleable. The fascinating thing about this is that not only we all go through it when we're born into like adulthood, maturity, but also humanity as a collective goes through those.
And civilizations within
exactly.
that.
And they actually grow exponentially. Like we grow through them faster and faster and faster. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. And so then we go into the next, which is power. So life becomes, the most powerful kind of wins, and I want to dominate, king on the hill, competition kind of mentality. That's when kids, start kind of like fighting a lot, and they start to give a lot of importance to like who's stronger and
faster.
Then comes the stage of belonging, where it becomes absolutely crucial to belong to a group of friends at school. And so that takes time, and before we kind of like balance it out, it's like it's the most important thing in life, right? It's like I want to be friends with this group because they're cool, and like that really matters to me. And a lot of people don't mature through it fully. They kind of come out of that stage with some remnants of that.
Well, can you give like a more concrete, what do you mean by that?
Yes. So for example, it's a whole pyramid. So the further the maturity, the less people there are, as a rule, just because it's a growth pyramid. Yeah. And also within every society, you have every layer represented. And so that one we're talking about, which is belonging, that desire to belong creates a situation where essentially if you're accepted by the group, then you're good, you've survived, you're successful, whatever. And then if you're not accepted by the group, then that's a disaster, complete disaster. And so that creates a desire to follow the rules of the group, what the group considers good or bad. And that creates a groupthink, that creates us versus them, that creates following rules and dogma.
Sure.
As an unhealthy...
And it's interesting, there's something interesting here that came to mind when you're talking about this, like, I remember noticing this when I was going to do high school, middle school era, where like something I think these days, and a part of like the belonging phase, I think, and I assume it's like, and it's my own experience, like understand the relationship between you and the group, and like the separateness between those two, and kind of like the feelings you have when you're with the group, and also like the reciprocal of that is like kind of being content with yourself, right?
Right, that's the balancing act, right?
Yeah.
Because you could also go the other way. You could become, not you, but like a person could become a rebel, and they could reject any kind of rule, any kind of authority, any kind of anything that looks remotely close to that, right? Like a red light, no, fuck that. I'm gonna just, I don't like this, ridiculous. So it's both ways, allergy and addiction.
Yeah. Because I think something that I think electric technology has been really interesting, that it kind of, again, going back to like the acoustic world, where like there's less otherness, like there's less separation, I knew so many people, especially girls, interestingly enough, in high school, who were basically like always on FaceTime. Like, and even the guys too, like that were always, you're never alone with yourself. And I wonder what, as we see this group of people, like my generation, like younger generations grow up, I wonder what what the effect of that is going to be. And I wonder with this theory if we can kind of predict it right now. So it's like, if people don't have a balanced sense of self, what that would be kind of like an allergy to the self or an addiction to others, or how would we frame that?
I mean, it sounds a little like conflated.
Okay.
It's a little hard to like.
Well, let's separate then.
Apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, like you want to balance it out. Like you want to basically see the extremes. You want to see. You want to just observe yourself.
Yeah.
And a healthy attitude towards that aspect of our maturity, of our levels, of our ways of perceiving the world, worldviews, thinking, is that belonging to a community and sense of a community and having people to rely on for support and contributing to a community, all of these things are a part of life. It's an important part of life. Without that, we start to wither. But then it's not the only part of life. It has the place that it has, no more, no less, for different people, also differently. Some people need more of that. Some people need more of social interaction. Some people are more, need less of that, need to recharge more. So finding that balance with oneself is the balancing point.
Sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think, going back to predicting, I think a potential consequence of what I was talking about earlier might be that, like, in the sense of, like, I mean, again, maybe I'm this the wrong frame, but like, in the sense of, like, a fear of self in some way, I think that there's people, and I think we see this already, where people want a lot more guidance about life today, and I think young people will want further guidance as they get older than people did in the past. Where I think in the past, like, let's say 1900s, 1800s, people who were intelligent, educated were and like generally a lot of people were intelligent, educated, were much more like self-sufficient. I think like self-sufficiency, and I remember reading about something interesting where like Google, for example, like lets people like bring like their like stuffed animals to work, which is like a very, like, in my opinion, that's like a severe lack of self-sufficiency and emotional strength in some way. But yeah, it's very interesting. Well, I think we're at 10%, so we got like a little bit longer to go here. Yeah, I'd love to do another one of these with you too. How long are you here for?
Till the end of January.
Okay, me too. Where are you going after January? Back to Bali?
Yeah.
I wish I was going back to Bali.
I think it's a question. What you're bringing up is a question of, to me, it sounds like a question of leadership, and like healthy leadership. What does it mean to lead? What does it mean to be led?
Yeah.
And what does it mean to do both, and in a balanced way, and grow both? Because I feel that when we think about leadership, a lot of times we think like, oh, I got to develop my leadership abilities. I got to guide people, lead the way. But then I feel that's actually a healthy thing, is to also develop the ability to be led, to allow to be led.
Yeah.
It's so fucking beautiful. It's so relieving to be led by someone. And that's why
and be able to trust someone like that.
Yeah, that's why the entire coaching and mentorship industry exists, because it's just such a simple thing, right? Like for me, leadership is just showing the way.
Yeah.
Somebody has walked the path and they're showing the way, or maybe they have not walked the path, but they have the ability to kind of like trod the path as they go, and so we follow them. Like when there is a gridlock on the street and cars can't move and they're in a gridlock, and then somebody just naturally emerges and they're like, you go there, and then people follow, and it brings me to tears when I see that, because
no more
like,
tension.
Yeah. And that's what happens a lot in society. Like, that's such a beautiful metaphor for society.
It is.
And it's just, and what I love, like many things I love about that, and it brings me to tears a lot of times. And what I love about it is that these people, leaders, emerge naturally. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
They're not appointed. They're self-appointed. And not in a way that, like, let me get to the top, but in a way that, like, me toca, how we say in Spanish.
Me toca.
Me toca, like my like I guess I guess my turn. I guess I gotta do it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it touches me as in like
That's interesting.
as in like, oh, it's my turn, like my move, my turn.
Yeah.
And I just go and do it in the moment. And so leaders emerge naturally, and that's always been the case. And on the planet now we have leaders that are not that don't always emerge naturally. And so that's, I guess, where we're making that shift.
Yeah. Well, I think, and this is, I think, what something I'm trying to do is like, yeah, I don't know. Have I showed you the phone tomb?
No, but you've
Dude,
spoken to me
I'll
about
show,
it.
when we go upstairs, I'll show it to you. So like, I think I see this like problem where like, yeah, like the traffic jam I see is like people, especially in the West, are like obsessed and spending way too much. Like the balance that we spend of like the time we spend on our screens and our phones has gone way too extreme. I think it's become this traffic jam where it's keeping people from being happy, from being loving, from being free. Like I think there's so much fear that comes with electric devices just by their very form. And I'm kind of trying to, self-appoint myself as like a traffic director. Like, hey guys, like here's a box for your phone. Like put away the thing. Like just put it away when you don't need it. And most of the time you don't need it. You don't need to be walking around with it all the time. You don't need to be like reliant on your phone to think or reliant on someone to tell you what to do. Like just put the phone away and just be, like just rest, just be present, just be like, I think we like, again, go back, we were telling, we were walking that over there was like spiritual material, like enlightenment is just like acting with the world in front of you. And I think these days, because of the phone screens, it's again, it's like it's the curse, it's the illusion of this other world that doesn't really exist, but we think it does, and it creates all this anxiety and all this like we try to treat the phone world as a real world, but then the things we try to do don't work out so well. It's like the gears don't mesh well enough, and that's because the phone world is not the real world, and that creates this constant cycle, especially for young people, where when they try to interact with friends or whatever it is they do on the social media, the virtual digital world, they don't get the feedback loop that they need to grow and change and develop and like flourish. And so I think, we really need to like spend less time on that. And that's not to say that the technology doesn't have amazing use cases. It's just that we need to treat it as a tool and treat it consciously. And I think, I'm trying to kind of elect myself as like, and that's kind of why I'm doing this stuff, like walks in the wild. Is like, hey, like it's awesome we can share this conversation, but let's do it when we're walking outside in nature. And hopefully that inspires some people to be like, hey, like maybe instead of I can listen to this out in nature or whatever, it's like, I think there's a way to fuse technology with nature in a much more balanced form than we are right now. And that's kind of my mission, and my, yours is like coaching and training, but mine is like, okay, let's find this balance.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful. Like, that's one of my missions. We haven't touched the highest timeline missions in this one, but it's beautiful, and there's a lot in there. The whole attention management question is in there, and relationship to technology, empowerment and sovereignty versus disempowerment, and giving our power to whatever crutch or something else that we think is helping us when it's not. There's a lot in there.
Inside the phone tombs, I have this like prayer, and it's like this prayer for like using the technology and putting the technology away. And it's like for when you put away, I think it says like, thank you for giving me this electric fire and empowering me to create. Now I let you rest.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Indeed. Yeah, that's what Steve Jobs also liked to say, right? He would link technology and creativity, creation. Directly. That was his
that's a beautiful place to leave it. That was epic, Alex. Thank you for that beautiful conversation. I think we should do another one soon.